Hi everyone, welcome back to Stella in Singapore. So today I invited one of my students in Singapore Polytechnic to share more about her program. So let's start with introduction.
Hi everyone, my name is Khin Snow, and I'm currently year two studying Diploma in Applied Chem at Singapore Poly. And before that, I was enrolled as a common science student as my first year.
Oh, okay. So can I ask what is your entry requirement?
During my IGCSE, I took a total of 8 subjects, which is bio, human bio, chemistry, maths B, pure maths, ICT, accounting, and English as first language. And my results are 6 A stars and 2 Bs.
Okay. So you talk about you enrolled to Polytechnic via Common Science program. So can you share me more about what is Common Science?
So, common science basically like a pathway made for students who are not sure about what diploma they want to pursue right after high school. So, for example, you might love both biology and chemistry, but you're not sure if you should take a diploma that is more biology related or a chemistry related. So, it's like a trial year where you get to learn all the related subjects and then choose your diploma in the second year. For our Singapore Poly, our common pathway, they will be divided into four diploma in year two, which is biomedical science, applied chemistry, perfumery cosmetic, and lastly, food science.
Okay. So, for first year, right, because you are in common science and those in the biomedical science or applied chemistry, right? So, are you guys learning the same subject or different subjects in first year?
Yeah, we're learning all the same subjects. So for the first year, all the students from the four diploma plus the common science student will learn the same module throughout the year, which means that even if you're taking applied chem, you'll still have to learn about basic food science.
Mm. Okay, so it's more of like you're exploring other diploma during your common science program. I see. So, can you share me more about your class schedule and the teaching style in Singapore Polytechnic?
As for the timetable, I would say my year two schedules, they're a bit less tight than my year one module. So as you can see in year one, they will actually test and strengthen the ability of the students to catch up the lessons. The first week is actually very usually very chill, but in the following week, all the assignments and the due date they will pile up. And as a student from Myanmar, even though I attended international school, the teaching style here is very different. Like you'll be expected to finish a topic even before the tutorial class started, which means that when you're coming for a tutorial classes, the teachers are not going to be teaching you every single detail, but rather going to discuss with you what you have studied throughout those lesson materials that she have uploaded. So normally, right, Saturday, Sundays, they're usually weekends and people go out. But for poly students, we have to finish all the materials and assignment during that 2 days, so we can catch up during the following subsequent weeks. And as for the grades, it's not like fully dependent on the final exam like in IGCSE or high school, but rather it's spread across different assessment. Like for example, the final exam is gonna make up like 50% of the final grade, but other assessment like group work, lab data sheets, small graded quizzes will make up the remaining percentage. So you cannot just be good at lesson, but you also have to learn to communicate and socialize with your classmates.
I see. So, as an IGCSE student, right, do you feel that it's very hard to catch up in Singapore Polytechnic?
Personally, I had some difficulties during my first sem. Compared to IGCSE, like I said earlier, the teacher, like in during IGCSE, the teacher will teach you a new lesson every week, right? But it's very different here. For my own experience, I was very confused on my first day when I saw everyone with their iPads and laptops, as I still thought like the textbook and physical copies will be given. However, there's no physical copies, but all the lesson materials they're already uploaded on the school website. And but luckily, teacher do like briefing on the start of every classes, so you'll get the hang of it.
I see. Okay, so apart from academic, right, you guys need to participate in a lot of CCA. So can you share more about what CCA are available in SB and what CCA do you join and what do you learn from this CCA?
Oh, okay. Trust me when I say there's a lot of CCA in Singapore. I would say some of the popular ones that I'm familiarized are the dance, handball, welfare service, international student club, sign language, swimming, and rock climbing. Out of all those that I've participated, welfare service is actually my favorite CCA. So it's like a type of CCA where you either want to like tuition centers and help the students with their homeworks, or you go to elderly centers and play game with them. It's so much fun, especially in the elderly centers, because we can do many things like paint with the elderlies, play bingo, karaoke sections, and even during Chinese New Year, we went around the area and hand oranges to the elders. As for my sports CCA, I'm not a very sporty person, but I've joined rock climbing, and it's not easy at all. And I also joined running, where we get to run around NUS campus.
I see. Okay, so from Singapore Polytechnic, right, there is CCA point. So how does the point system work? And then does it contribute to your GPA?
Um, it varies from event to event, but I could say you can earn about 1 to 2 point per section. And for the CCA, also we had different levels. So if you get a certain amount of point, you'll get the badge. Like the highest badge would be Bowl of Honor, which you can fill up during your 3 years of poly. And a little tip about CCA is that you should join as much as you can in your year one, because in year two and year three, you're usually going to be very busy. And in year three, your intern is also coming. And yeah, so join as much CCAs as you can in year one.
Okay, okay, so mm, okay, so you talk about from common science program, they can go to the specialized diploma. So how are the students getting shortlisted for the science diploma? And then what are the uh what are the minimum requirement for them to join the diploma?
Okay, like I said earlier, we'll be divided into four diplomas, which are biomedical, applied chem, perfumery, cosmetic, and food science, which you can only enter by the GPA ranking and the vacancy. This year I heard the cutoff point are very low, which means that the juniors are very smart. So unlike IGCSE, I took ethics at IGCSE. So the grading is like 1 to 9, where 9 is the highest. Singapore grading system is like 9 to 1, which is like a reverse. So which means the lower your points are, the better it is, and you'll have like a higher chance into getting the diploma of the one that you want. Uh, Even for common science, also there's a specific cutoff point that you can enter for year two. Among the four, right, biomed and applied chem are usually very competitive ones, and you have to like maintain your GPA in the year one. I could say it's roughly about 3.75 in order to get into them.
3.75. I see. Okay, so they will just look at your GPA, not your contribution to your school, just GPA
No,
alone.
CCA won't be. Yes, just CPA.
Oh,
Yes,
okay, I see.
but they will also look at your like for example, right, you get a very high GPA, but compared to another person who got a similar GPA with you, but a B for your you got a B for your biology, but the other got an A for your biology, they will actually let the person who get an A enter before you. Yeah.
I see. Okay. So since you said this is very competitive course, so are there many international students in your course?
I could say about just 10 to 15%, especially in competitive diploma. Last year during my batch, during the common science, there is only about 5 to 6 Burmese students over 100 people.
Oh, only okay. So, apart from academic and then CCA, a lot of international students want to do part-time job. So, do you have time to do a part-time job? And then, how many hours do you do?
During my first sem, I wasn't very familiarized with it yet, but during the holiday of sem one, I was introduced and I tried working in different sectors. So my first job was I have to teach a kid for his PSLE exam, which is primary school leaving exam. But there's like a lot of other work, and most people work in like hotels, restaurants, convenience stores, and even warehouse. For convenience store, you can work in like 7-Eleven or Guardians. Um, and for the rate is for teaching, you can get about $20 to $30 depending on the child's education system. But for other sector, you can get about $13 to $15 an hour.
Okay. So can I ask what is the estimate income per month? And then do your parents need to support you when you came to Singapore?
Oh, okay. So, during the school term, right, there's a limitation in how much a polytechnic student can work. As far as I know, it's about 16 hour a week. So if you're working in a sector paying like $20 an hour, you can make about $1,200 a month. But during long holiday, you can work as much as you want. So, it depends on how much you're working, and I could say about you can get like 3,000 a month if you're working like Monday to like 3 days a week or 4 days a week. For me, I don't work during the school hours because the study load is a lot for me. But sometimes if I'm bored, I want to work like a day in a week. Yeah.
I see.
And for the transferring money for parents, I can agree on both yes and no. Because if you're doing like a light diploma and you want to focus more on work and just pass and graduate, you can work, of course, and like the parents won't need to send you any money and you can pay for your rent and groceries. But if you want to build like a strong portfolio and maintain a really high GPA for university, but also work at the same time, I would suggest you just going for like a day in a week.
Okay, so as an international student yourself, what are challenges you face and how did you overcome it?
Uh, for me, first is the language barrier. All those English is used is very hard for us to understand the accent, and same for them also. It's very hard for them to understand our accent. But last year there is this like our school organized a Singlish program where international students uh go to like around Singapore, and like we can like they're gonna help us understand the slangs that is used in Singapore, which I think is very helpful. um, like I said earlier, the first few weeks of school is going to be very difficult, but you'll get hang of it. And secondly, is since you're independent and alone, it will be very tiring because you have to manage all the chores, cooking, laundry, plus finding a good apartment, which means you have to give like time for everything plus study.
Yeah. Okay, so the last question for you is what advice would you like to give IGCSE junior who would like to join the Common Science program in Singapore Polytechnic or those already in Common Science and want to explore more in the specialized diploma, like how should they study harder?
Oh, okay. I would say just try your best and believe in what you're doing. And always remember that you have a target and goals to achieve in your life. Your grades during high school or IGCSE or in your year one common science will really impact your futures in some ways.
Okay, thank you so much for accepting my invitation and I hope this video is very useful to all of them. Thank you so much.
Thank
Goodbye.
you.